In 2020, a crack commando unit was sent to quarantine by coronavirus for an illness they didn't deserve. These men promptly escaped from a maximum security lockdown to the Los Angeles and Las Vegas underground. Today, still wanted by the government, they survive as soldiers of fortune. If you have a problem, if no one else can interview, and if you can find them, maybe you can hire the Take Warning podcast.
It's my favorite one. Duper hates it.
I fucking hate the goats, dude. It reminds me every time of how bad the MCU is.
What?
The best part of the movie, almost.
Yeah, that's saying something about that shit show of a movie.
Exactly. I liked it. It was okay.
It wasn't okay.
It wasn't
Yeah,
terrible.
well,
It wasn't good.
It wasn't that bad.
It was that bad.
Doctor Strange was that bad.
Doctor Strange was worse. Yeah, this was bad. No, I don't know. At least Doctor Strange
Nope.
had Wanda. She's
Nope.
good. She's at least
They
easy
ruined
in the
Wanda.
eyes. Yeah, but she's hot, dude. So,
Yeah, but they ruined her.
I'll watch 2 hours of Wanda no matter what she's doing. I don't give a shit. It's good. It's good TV.
Yikes.
So
So, we're about to get, because we haven't given billions and billions and billions away to a war that, I mean, obviously we support Ukraine,
Oh,
but
no.
we've given them how much money? That's ridiculous. Every day I see something, they're like, oh, we gave them another $4 billion.
yeah,
Like, sweet. All right. So Biden's planning to ask Congress to approve $1.1 billion in an arms sale to Taiwan, including 60 anti-ship Harpoon missiles, 100 Sidewinder air-to-air missiles, and a surveillance radar contract extension.
why?
Remember when he was all like, oh, Pelosi's going there. Don't worry about it, dude. One China. We support one China because they have to, diplomatically. That's how we keep the peace. And then
not by doing this.
have you noticed that there have been a lot more senators going since Pelosi? And you've got like, just a lot of politicians are showing up there, and there's a lot of public, like, hey, we're there with Taiwan. And then this. So what are we doing?
We're
doing
trying
here?
to instigate World War III. What's crazy is that we stand a good chance at if we did get involved in World War III. Our budget for our military alone is as big as the next 9 countries that combined.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have a huge military. So we're definitely prepared for such a thing. China's economy is not as strong as people make them out to sound. They're having some serious economic issues within their communist regime over there. So it might be a good time to strike, but at the same time, I
really wanna?
I'm
really
not an
wanna?
advocate. I'm not an advocate for war. I'm just not. It's ugly. Anybody who's been there and they've seen such a thing cannot honestly say that they would want that for any country or for any nation to go through. I don't care. I can't say that completely. I don't care who the enemy is per se, but I do care about who the enemy is. There are some wars worth fighting, right? That the Nazis were a war worth fighting. The Taliban are really bad. There's some people that need to be taken out, and that's the reason why we do need military action at times. And China might be in that ballpark with the genocide that they're doing.
The Uyghurs?
Yeah, but it's ugly, dude. War and the amount of devastation that causes the normal people of that country and of our country. I mean, I don't think that the war would necessarily be fought on our shorelines, but who the fuck knows, right?
Happened before.
Bring it on.
It would be ugly. It's not something that you want to just bring
like
on.
they talk about how no country wants to invade the U.S. because of the gun-toting citizens. Like
Yeah.
they don't want to deal with the citizens because we're all armed and we'll all defend. So
Yeah, there's reports out of the Cold War that Russia really considered that in their war planning against us was the number of weapons that the citizenry has. And that's only increased. It's only increased.
Yeah, exactly. It has only increased. We have more more weapons than we do people, right? Isn't it like 3 guns to every person or something? Technically.
Yeah, something like that. It's
It's
insane.
ridiculous.
Something I'm above average at.
Well, if Joe Biden's
Here's the
listening,
thing.
I
I
don't have any
support
guns.
Taiwan. I support their
I do too.
sovereignty. So like, I'm not against us defending Taiwan. I'm against us like going, don't worry. It's no worries. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything over here. And then we're clearly doing something. So it's like, come out and say, hey man, start getting ready. You're about to send your sons and daughters to fucking war, and we're gonna do something about this.
What's scary is
Or
that we're doing a proxy war on both sides now, right? With China
right,
and with Russia. Ukraine
exactly.
is a proxy war. We are funding the Ukraine so then they will fight a war on our behalf. Now it sounds like we're starting to funnel money over into Taiwan so then they'll do the same thing.
Well, we're
The-
definitely giving them the defense mechanisms to be able to, be ready. So
And if the history of our country and of this nation and our involvement in these wars shows us anything, it only turns that citizenry against us. In
well,
20 years,
I think
Taiwan will hate
Taiwan's
us.
going to be a
Ukraine will
little bit
hate us.
different, honestly. Taiwan's looking for a country to support them. They have for as long as they've
The
existed.
politicians are. I don't know about the people, right? I mean,
No,
that's
this
always
is the people. The people love America. Like they talk about it.
Do they?
They are not. They are not Chinese citizens in Taiwan.
And so
You
with
know?
anything like that, and this is going to sound, I'm a cynic, right? And I realize that. So anything that I say, take that with a grain of salt, knowing that I'm a cynic. But that information that we get about Taiwan loving us comes from a U.S. media that is propaganda, right?
I can see that.
China will probably say the same thing about their side over there. I guarantee that they are. Russia is probably saying the same thing through their state TV, and
Mhm.
so are we. We have a state TV, and that's been a huge issue with. I think part of the divide within our country is that the state TV has been broken here. The state narrative has been broken because of the internet and because of podcasts, and there's more voices and a wider, diverse opinion and thought out there, and it's caused a disruption at the top.
So
Um,
I do want to point out with Taiwan before we get too far away from them. They're very, very much, and this isn't just from our media or someone else's media, but just looking at their GDP, what they buy as consumers, they're very, very similar to like South Korea, right? In South Korea, they still have their Asian culture, but they're very much like America, where they're semi-democratic or mostly democratic. They are capitalists. They look at the same things that we do. They're into the same things we are. Same ideals, shit like that. So I look at them as another South Korea. That's really who they are. I mean, it's not like like Tibet. I could see where you're coming from in Tibet because that one's still a little weird, right? We want to free Tibet, but most of the people there don't. Like, so you kind of, what do you do there? Taiwan, they very clearly want to be their own nation and represent themselves, and they make it
Hong Kong.
known, huh? Hong Kong. Well, Hong Kong was ruled by the British, and they just gave them away, which is just, I don't know.
It shows the might of
colonial.
the Chinese versus the fall of the UK.
It's just, I don't know. I agree with you though. If we were to get into conflict with China, we're still pretty fucking badass. We talk a lot of shit, and we're all on different sides of things a lot of the time. But I don't think anybody's gonna say, "Oh, our military isn't that strong." Like, okay, like you think that, okay, because we don't have as many soldiers as China, or we don't have as many, certain things. Other countries might be like, "Well, I have the most fucking soldiers," right? Like China, and be like, "That's cool, dude. Boots on the ground, huh? Sweet, get here."
Yeah,
Like,
but I think Russia
here,
has
bro.
the biggest nuclear arms, right? Or
They
the
have
most nuclear
They have
arms.
the biggest nuclear arsenal. Yeah.
So I mean, that's the big guns.
Yeah, I mean, but we have big guns too, right?
All it takes is one. I mean, but it doesn't take that many to wipe us out. Fuck
True.
climate change, right?
But who's to say, conspiracy theory, that we haven't already started to develop or developed a proper Star Wars defense system?
I don't know.
I mean, aside from hypersonic, I wouldn't be worried about shit.
I mean, it's possible. Trump did create the Space Force, so Captain Picard might be up there doing something for us. Maybe that was part of the maybe there's some advancements that we're not aware of here in the maybe that's what Trump was hiding at
Oh my God, what
Mar-a-Lago.
if that's what it was at Mar-a-Lago?
But maybe we have advanced some technologies to the point that we could defend them against a nuclear attack.
Yeah.
But that's not something I want to gamble on.
No,
It's
I
not.
don't want to get into a nuclear conflict. I agree with you. I don't think it would be us that initiated it anyway. I think that
I hope not,
Russia's
but I mean, with
stupid.
Joe Biden, he could fall asleep on that button at any time.
I mean, isn't there like 3 different people that have to do something?
Well,
It doesn't just happen.
yeah,
He's
I know,
the
I
last
get
one
it,
to press
I
the
get
button, isn't he?
it. Joe?
Yeah.
He said he initiates it.
Hmm.
I thought that's how, or no, Defense does it, right? Secretary of Defense initiates, and then he gives the call when it's time.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't remember.
I would
I don't
have
remember.
to.
I'm trying to remember what Independence Day did.
I'd have to check the redacted statements over at
How'd they blow up Houston?
Melania Trump's closet.
They were on Air Force One. And the Secretary of Defense is like, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this now. And you can tell Bill Pullman's like, dude, I don't want to do this. And they're sitting there and it's all tense. And then the narrow-faced guy's like, no, we got to do it, Mr. President. Mr. President. And finally he's like, all right, fucking do it. At the last minute. So I'm assuming that's how it'll be. Same way.
Do you think that the nuclear briefcase was at Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate?
He had the football?
He just it was just in with his luggage.
The nuclear
like it was
the
just
lawyers
in
are
with
like,
the
hey man,
luggage
he
closet.
declassified it. Honestly, that wouldn't be that big of a deal compared to the other shit because that changes. The football's never the same.
It's just funny. Like I'm just getting this visualization of just like this fucking the nuclear football.
Do we not
in his
have anything
luggage
more high
closet.
tech? Like that's the next thing. Like, why are we still carrying around a football? Like,
Because
why are
it's
we
got to be a
carrying
secure
around this
network,
fucking-
right? You can't have something that's hackable.
I mean, I don't know.
And that's the
I mean, I
problem
don't know
with
what's
modern
in
technology.
that. I'm sure it's changed. It might be a robot in there, and we don't even know it. Could
Robot,
be like 3 transformers that pop out.
they just run to press the actual button. Like it's not even that fucking cool. It's just like a it looks like a short circuit basically with little
Yeah.
wheels and shit. It's not even like a running fucking transformer.
No, it's a 1980s
It's
robot. It's
basically
like the
just a
robot
fucking-
from Rocky 3. Or Rocky
It's a
They
IV.
toaster. Yeah, it's a toaster with
Happy birthday,
wheels.
Polly.
They spent billions of dollars on designing them.
Yeah. It gets there, and the intention of this toaster with wheels is supposed to be just to hit the button, but then they've moved the button 3 inches too high, so it can't fucking reach it. It's all kinds of fucked up. Stupid government.
I could see
Government
it.
overreach. But what's China's response to this Taiwan thing?
Well, this was just released tonight, so we'll find out tomorrow. 28
So
minutes
t-
ago, actually.
China has been increasing their military drills
Yeah.
tremendously. Our interference, well, our relations with Iran is changing tremendously. Biden went from a staunch opponent to now kind of cozying up with them. I
Did you
have
say
no
cozying up
idea.
or just trying to find a diplomatic solution?
No, he's trying to get oil.
Yeah, it's diplomacy.
But the
Why
I
else
don't know
would we? I mean, obviously it's diplomacy. We do the same thing with the fucking dirty ass Saudis.
yeah, I don't know what this
And
administration.
I'm not talking about dirty like filthy dirty. I'm talking about dirty like in everything they do to human beings.
I don't know what this administration's foreign policy is.
Get us some oil. Try and figure out how to fix this.
But why don't we
inflation
just
problem.
drill here? We have the biggest fucking resource in the world right now. We're sitting on more resources
because
than
he's
ever
also an
before.
environmentalist. That
We don't
goes
have to
against
worry about-
environmental causes.
But we don't have to worry about these resources running out because we're transitioning the green resources anyway. So what the fuck, dude?
So here's something to think about. Just devil's advocate. Let's say we do that. We're like, you're right, because that's true. In 20 years, we shouldn't be using these resources at all, or very, very, very minimally, right? That's this administration. Let's say Trump wins again, and he comes back and he's like,
They won't
"Fuck
let
that."
happen.
But let's just say, okay, let's say we get somebody like Trump, not Trump, but somebody that's got some similar ideals.
Dude.
Hmm.
Say DeSantis.
I'm
Say
not going to say
President
DeSantis.
DeSantis.
So
Come
let's say
on.
Tulsi Gabbard runs.
Ah, dude, I love her too.
I
she's
do
like
love Tulsi
VP.
Gabbard.
Yes.
I like her. But either way, let's just say somebody comes in and they're like, you know what? Fuck what Biden was doing with your environmental rules. Like, fuck you, California. You can't fucking tell us that you can't fucking sell gasoline cars. We're going to sell fucking gasoline cars till the day, this civilization ends. So now all of a sudden we are on some kind of finite timeline with our resources. What do we do then? Do we wait until it's too late, like now with the water? Or do we do something?
But what could we do when it's too late?
That's what I'm saying. Why are we waiting until it's too late? We're too late with the water. Why wait until we're too late with the oil? I personally don't have a problem with us using the oil, but I think that we should be it should be, it shouldn't be, should be like sublet, right? Like we're taking more from Saudi Arabia than we are from our own shit, but we are taking some from our shit.
But we
You know
don't
what I
we don't
mean?
want to rely on Saudi Arabia too. What if they
No,
what if
that's
they cut us off?
that's another reason why you don't want to use it all up. You don't want to blow your wad up front. So say, okay,
Story of my life.
40%, guaranteed 40% of the oil is going to come from the United States, right? For themselves. We're going to take care of ourselves 40% of the time. The other 60% we're going to outsource. And we're going to continue to outsource. That way, let's say diplomatic relations fall off with Saudi Arabia. At least we can work with India. They're pumping oil. Maybe Russia's thing kind of comes to an end and we have to get into a frenemy relationship with them to get their oil. But we can always keep the costs down that way, because then you've got people like, what do they call it? Not CPEC, OPEC, all those fucking Arabs that control all the fucking oil. When they go and they're like, well, we're going to go ahead and just go off futures and we're going to jack your shit up to, $200 a barrel. We can say, go ahead and do that, homie. We're going to go ahead and dial our order back and just take care of ourselves for a while until you fucking calm the fuck down. And then when they calm down, we'll do some more business with them. That's how I would use it. I wouldn't
But
just
you don't
go and
think that-
immediately drain it. What's that?
You don't think that would cause a war?
Us using our own oil?
Yeah, not fucking paying for
It
all their
didn't
shit.
cause a war in Europe when they did it.
No, I mean, Russia's doing it right now.
Russia's doing it right now. Yeah.
The oil issues that they're having in Russia and how they're not allocating oil back out to the country, and then the issues that they're having with the wheat in Ukraine, because Ukraine supplies a tremendous amount of the wheat across third world countries, is very likely to lead to famine this winter in many poor countries. That's one of the sad side effects of this war in Russia, is that it's not going to just affect these countries and these people, but many people across the globe.
I think that, Josh, to answer your question, what I'm thinking is I don't think it would lead to a conflict or a war, because they want our money still, right? We're still paying customers. So just like anywhere else, they're going to find a way for us to come back to them. Netflix, you stop giving me good shows, I'm going to stop paying for you. And they're going to know that, but they're going to find a way to get me back. It's the same thing here. They'll just lower their prices.
I said earlier that we're prepared for a war with China. I'm going to backtrack that a bit. We're not prepared on an energy standpoint, and we're not prepared on a manufacturing standpoint. World War II was very important that we were able to transition all of our manufacturing towards the war effort. We don't have that much manufacturing anymore to really do that anymore. Same thing with the oil. We're very oil dependent on other countries again.
Think about the stuff that they've been passing, right? What if they're looking forward to that? That's some forward thinking. I mean, that's some good thinking.
But
you have right there.
Why would you start funding Taiwan today then? Right?
Why would you not wait until you have your chip factories up or your manufacturing plants?
At least get the foundation laid.
I agree. Yeah. Seriously, buy me dinner before you start reaching down my pants.
Right. Like, don't just pass don't draw up the plan and then declare war. Let's actually start putting some boots on the ground and some shovels in the ground, so then we can start digging.
I don't know. I'm curious how it's going to go. It's just something I see it. I'm curious because I know you keep hearing the one NASA bullshit, or one NASA. I looked at NASA on the news thing. The one China thing, and I don't know. It's so contradictory.
It is. I mean, again, I'm saying that they're trying to initiate World War III, but a couple of years ago with North Korea and Trump, that was a pretty scary moment too. That kind of panned out. So maybe this will too. Our economies are a lot more intermingled than North Korea and ours was. So they have more to lose than North Korea did in that conflict or war of words that they had. But China and Russia are very prideful countries, very prideful nations, and they're not very likely to step back. They are trying to compete with us as the world power, and quite frankly, they're not ready.
Well, let's see what happens. See where it goes.
Speaking of NASA, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, since I did NASA, we had to scrub the launch. We are recording on Monday. So the launch was scrubbed this morning. but it is rescheduled for tomorrow since you'll be listening to this on Thursday.
So what wasn't a bad fuel leak then?
It's when it's not the actual engine that's leaking, right? It's when they're refueling. There's some place there where it was leaking, and it's not fuel. It's the hydrazine that they spray in to keep everything super super cold. I actually just learned a lot about this. This is crazy, but there's a lot of specialty equipment like that, where you have to keep it at the temperature of where it's going to be flying, because it's way colder up there, right?
Mhm.
So you use these dewars, these refrigerants, and they pump the refrigerant in to get it down below zero and keeps them cold. And that's what it was doing. It was trying to cool the engines down to the temperature they needed to be able to ignite and stay together when the heat comes through, because it's a lot of fucking heat, right? And one of the engines, there's 3 engines on this one. One of the engines, they could not get the temperature down, and it was because it was leaking when they were trying to spray it in.
Why is
with
this
the
space
hose.
program so important?
Why is the space program so important? What unified us in the 60s?
So here's a question that I'm gonna question you on your beliefs, right, a bit.
Mhm.
So climate change is the most imminent thing on the planet that's going to destroy us all, right? And that's due to our carbon emissions.
Potentially.
Shooting these rockets in space, in which are nothing but a giant carbon emission. Is it worth it? Is the trade-off worth it?
Yes.
Why?
Well, they're not going off every day, first of all.
But
launches
the amount that it puts out is massive at one moment, right? I don't know how many.
So I don't know how much you know about the SLS, the new rocket.
No, it sounds like a Cadillac.
I was gonna say it was a Mercedes.
So it's actually very clean burning. It's putting off less emissions than I mean, and this is the largest rocket NASA's ever built. Like, this thing is fucking huge.
Okay.
We've seen the other rockets and you're like, oh my God, they're so big. This is twice the size. And somehow it's burning less fuel. It's burning it more efficiently, and it's burning it cleaner throughout our atmosphere. It's going to leave our atmosphere faster. There's a lot of things here that they did look at, because NASA has been on a huge green initiative. I know out here in this area in California, they're testing an electric propeller aircraft. They're figuring out how to burn clean fuel in all aircraft. So commercial aircraft are actually starting to use some of the stuff that they've been putting together. And they're doing the same thing with the solid state fuels that they're launching people to the moon with on these rockets. So yes, there's that component to it, obviously, but somehow we're going to have to get off this planet when it's fucking burning.
So what's interesting about the Artemis project is that the plan is to put a man on the moon again in what, 2025?
Woman, sir.
Oh, that's so fucking stupid. So
It's
plan, the plan is to put a person on the moon in 2025, because I could care less about their gender. So the plan is to put a person on the moon again, right? And then their plan, once they get back on the moon, is to build a fuel reserve up there. So
build a base.
Build a base.
Build a base.
Build a base. So then they can then jettison to Mars from the moon.
Oh, and don't forget, there's going to be a lunar orbiter also. So they're going to have a base that's orbiting the moon, and then a base on the moon.
Okay, that's cool.
To help them launch.
It is kind of cool.
And the intent is that you're going to be able to build most of the ship up there.
I am excited to finally put a person on the moon for real.
I was gonna say, for the first time. Conspiracy theory.
Oh, it fucking happened.
Yep. Yeah, it's gonna happen, and we're very excited that a woman will be the first person on the moon.
You don't have to say that kind of shit. Neil would be very upset.
Well, I bet he would, because I mean, a woman beat him there.
He's like, that woman should have just stayed in the kitchen.
There ain't no kitchens on the moon. Neil, you can't say that.
Jesus Christ. You know how much that rocket cost? $37 billion.
Fuck, dude. That kind of sounds like
God damn. I didn't know it was that much. That's fucking expensive.
And that's just this rocket, right? That's not the moon base?
Yeah.
How much is the fucking moon base?
Probably at least
dude,
100 billion.
You'd think that's $1 trillion base.
Where do we get this money?
A moon base. Like,
Where do they get this money from?
Huh?
Where are we getting this money from?
Well, we'll tax the rich.
Yeah. With
Good luck on that one.
87,000 new IRS agents to tax the 2,000.
What if the 87,000 were put in place just so they could start paying for Artemis?
Yeah, 87,000 IRS agents, so then they can tax the shit out of 2.1 thousand billionaires. That's the plan.
2.1 thousand. Okay.
There's only
I don't know
2,100
what
billion.
math he just said.
2,100. I don't know. I was making up my own numbers.
2.1. I was like, wait a second.
Yeah. 2.1.
2.1 thousand and a fifth.
Yeah. I'm making up my own numerical system. So deal with that
Jesus.
shit. But dude, that's fucking expensive, man. I just said that I've been shitting on these space programs for the beginning since the beginning of this podcast, and I just had a moment of about 5 minutes where I was okay with it, and then you just gave me the cost of it, and then I'm right back in the original ballpark of like, fuck
What
that
are they going to
shit,
name
dude.
the moon base? What are they naming the moon base?
It should be fucking Scrooge McDuck.
It's shaped as them.
What if they shape it like Scrooge McDuck?
What was his money bank called? Whatever that was called is what we need to call that shit, because that's where all of our fucking money is going.
Just all our money.
That's it. All of it. That's all I got.
The money pit.
No fucking
Fort all our money.
I take it back, dude. It wasn't the COVID restrictions and bailouts, and it wasn't Wall Street back in the day. The reason why rapid inflation is happening is because of this rocket. This rocket alone is gonna fucking bankrupt
that's
everyone.
a pretty
of us.
fucking pricey rocket. I'm not gonna lie.
COVID's a cover up.
COVID was
it's
just the cover up. Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm curious how they're. I don't know. But we have to get this done, like that's the big thing. There are other countries that are trying to do the same thing. And what happens if China builds a moon base before us?
Then who the fuck cares? They got a base on the moon. What the fuck are they gonna do with a base on the moon?
What if they launch
fucking
a weapon
nothing?
from there? This rocket can get us to the moon in like 6 hours, right? It gets us in orbit in like 6 hours.
I can get to San Diego in 6 hours.
That's my point. They went to the moon. What was that? Like 200 and something thousand miles? What is it? 244?
I don't know. I accidentally stopped at a gas station and reset my mileage odometer last time I was on my way to the moon, so I'm not quite sure.
Doesn't matter. They did it in Fast and Furious with the regular car. We can do it.
238,900 miles.
Yeah.
So I got a question.
Can we do a jalopy run to the moon?
How many charges do you think it would take for a Tesla to get there?
I don't think it gets off the launch pad, buddy.
I'm actually asking right now. How many charges?
That's SpaceX, right?
Yeah, well, SpaceX has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, but SpaceX, they would have to charge their rocket theoretically, right? No, you fucking idiot! They're using rocket
Oh my God.
propulsion.
There's no charging stations on the way to the moon.
You're
So I put
fucking-
how many charges for my Tesla needed for 238,900 miles?
Okay.
Driving normal 65 miles an hour.
$3.98 per 100 miles is what they're saying.
We didn't ask the price, so I just want to know how many charges it takes.
I know. I'm looking. It's not giving it to me. I'm trying. Tesla charging cost, driven distance, 238,900 miles.
Rick's head's killing him right now trying to do all this math.
Dude, I know. I feel like I'm at work. Not happy about this. Charging interval at 10%. So we're going to come back at 10%.
I don't know what you're trying to figure out here. Fucking
How many
Matt
times do you have to
Damon-
stop to charge?
But who the fuck cares, dude? Like, you're acting like this is gonna be some world-changing
Duper fortune
information.
favors the bold.
Yeah, and this does nothing for us. It does not advance the conversation.
He's been trying
Okay, it
for
would
5
cost-
minutes. I want to
Here's
know the
something.
answer.
It would actually cost $17,320 to get there in charges.
$17,000 is a lot less than $38 billion. I'm
Yeah.
all in favor of it.
Get on it,
I'm just
Elon.
saying, is there a way to get this going? Yeah, like where's Elon in this whole thing?
Elon has SpaceX, man.
See, yeah, and it's funny because we work with SpaceX, like NASA, the U.S.
Right.
They work with SpaceX, right? They just awarded the contract for the next telescope to launch on SpaceX. SpaceX is actually building the lander for Artemis. Like, what the fuck? What is going on here?
Is SpaceX going to be able to use the moon base as well?
Of course.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, he's a fucking alien. He's figured out everything he's doing.
Did you get our answer yet, Rick?
No, it's not giving it to me.
Math
it says
is-
driving cost. If I drove 238,000 miles at 29 kilowatts for 100 miles, it would be $17,000. I told you that. It's not giving me how many times.
All right, so
$17,000. They go how far?
Okay, well, I could do the math on this. We got this. I can do math.
just take the distance to the moon and divide it by whatever
Yeah.
the
What is it,
Tesla
like
gets.
300 a tank? So divide that by 300. It'd take us 796 stops. to
And you
get
got to
there.
times that by an hour each stop.
Yeah,
Oh
dude,
my
but we're
gosh.
doing it for a fraction of the cost, so it's definitely worth it.
Times 60 minutes. That's 47,780 minutes. Mm-hmm.
Greg's gonna be so mad he wasn't on this episode.
All right, so how many minutes is
What is that,
gonna take
divided
us?
into 60, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, it fucking doesn't
Oh,
matter.
no.
It's all
Let's divide it
fucking
into
pseudo.
24
This is the
hours
most
in a
pseudo
day.
science ever.
And we're looking at 2,000 hours of charging.
I basically feel like this is how Pfizer made the vaccine. But
No, what they did is they're like, hey, my cousin works over at Moderna, and I got some recipe. You guys want to see this?
they're getting sued. Yeah,
getting
Moderna's
sued for
coming
that.
after him.
Yeah.
But 2,000 hours. Okay. Dude,
Greg-
I would save the money.
It's some
Yeah.
inefficient shit.
I don't give a shit, dude. It's not fucking $38 billion.
What is going on? Here's some breaking news. Deet.
Uh-oh.
That's my breaking news sound. On ground.news, according to, Huffington Post, Washington Press, Washington Examiner, Right Side Broadcasting Network, New York Magazine, Political Wire. There's a lot.
Jesus Christ, just say it.
Political? What?
Trump calls for a new election, in parentheses, that could reinstate him as president. Former President Donald Trump says he is now using conclusive information regarding President Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, and the FBI's alleged burying of an investigation into his laptop to challenge the 2020 election and call for a new impromptu election entirely.
Let's
Quick
do it.
question. This wouldn't have anything to do with the FBI raiding his house, would it?
There's a lot of theories around that. So one theory around that, and
No,
this
I'm
is-
saying this isn't his retaliation, is it?
no. But this is this is not a conspiracy theory. So the Biden administration actually said that they knew nothing about this in advance, right? The Trump raid. Well, the White House has come out and said yes, we were involved with it and we didn't know about it. But what? So I like the picture they used for that too.
Isn't it
Like-
great where he's like doing the little
Yeah,
chocolate
yeah,
starfish
like-
kiss?
This is
Smooches.
that's funny. But the conspiracy
hair.
theory is that some of these documents that he was retaining proved the involvement of the government within the election. So, and that's very likely a conspiracy, right? And
I'm just okay. So if that's the case, why didn't you
and
release
that sounds as conspiratorial as when the left was saying at the beginning of this entire thing that Trump had the fucking nuclear weapons in his closet, right? That's also not true. There's no evidence that suggests that any of these documents had anything to do with nuclear policy. But both of those ideas are very radical from both sides. But if that conspiracy panned out, then yeah, that would actually say, okay, the cat's out of the bag. Here we go.
Here we go. What?
New election.
That's not how that works.
That's not how it works. It's not constitutional. There's no constitutional right or
I'm
policy
just throwing that
in
out
place
there. Like,
to
great. Now what?
remove Biden from office. There's nothing. There's nothing within our system that could actually make that happen.
Right.
But I would also say Trump is a very bombastic individual. He's very hyperbolic when he speaks. I'm curious as to if this was just something he said in a election campaign, because he's been campaigning since 2020, right? He's not stopped campaigning. This guy, he's nonstop with the campaigns and the rallies. So I'm curious if he was just at a rally and he said something off the cuff. He likes to rally up his crowds and his base. I wonder if this was that. So I'll have to look into it a bit. I'm
But why
curious though.
why is that okay if it's just to rally up his crowd and his base, especially when he's under such scrutiny for potentially being linked to January 6th, where a huge base got right, like a little riled up there. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
Why is that
we've
okay?
we've been seeing this escalation for years, right? And I know, oh, fucking cliche, 2020, fucking riots. They were nothing like the Capitol riot. No, they were fucking worse than the Capitol riot. The left encouraged that. They started GoFundMe pages. They let criminals out on no bail. They let them out without any criminal consequences, and they encouraged it. They pulled the police out. They didn't call in the National Guard. There was no reaction in many of these cases until it was far too late, and cities were burned. Seattle, the police department had to surrender their police department. In Minneapolis, the police department was burnt to the ground. Uh, both sides have been very inflammatory
Yeah.
in their rhetoric and what they've said, and very irresponsible on both sides. We're we're pulling further and further apart as a country. I mean, fuck this war with China. We got to worry about ourselves and what we can do, and if we can hold this thing together before we can even comprehend attacking Russia or China. Or maybe that's the big plan: is a war with China or Russia will draw us back together and make us not so hyper partisan right now. But rhetoric like this, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of rhetoric such as this from Trump. I'm not a big fan of rhetoric from such as this from Kamala or from Biden or any of these politicians. I don't like it. It does too much to divide the country.
I don't hear much from Kamala. Maybe you guys on the right are paying attention to her more, but
Oh, since
I don't
she's
really.
no.
I don't listen to
So
her or hear her, so I don't really like. I'm telling you from a left
yeah,
perspective, I don't know much about Kamala or hear anything from her.
they're hiding her as much as they can to make her a legitimate candidate for presidency. When she speaks, she's pretty much illiterate. So she has no cognitive thought. She has no idea where her conversations will go when she speak. When she begins to speak, she doesn't know what the destination is that she's trying to reach. So Kamala's got a lot of issues when she does anything really. I mean, the border is her responsibility, and look at how that's been panning out. She's done
I
nothing.
mean, the border's still there.
I
Good job,
guess.
Biden.
I mean,
She
nobody
hasn't lost
respects
that.
it. Nobody respects it, but yeah, I guess we do still technically have a border. Um, but yeah, I guess that makes sense on the left that they're trying to just hide her. I mean, that's what worked for Biden to get into the presidency is they hid him in the basement for 6 months and he became president.
I think
What?
Nick fell asleep.
Yeah, I think so
Sorry,
too.
I got distracted.
The worst
Oh,
thing that Democrats can do is speak. It hurts them more than anything. And I think it's actually just recently kind of becoming true of Republicans as well. So the best thing
mm,
the Republicans and
been like that for a while. Did you see
a bunch
McConnell's
of
pulling
idiots
out
can
on
do is just
a
shut up.
lot of his funding for some of these candidates?
Well, that's the only reason why McConnell is apparently still in office or in his position is because he controls the money from the super PACs that fund so many of these
I don't
Republican
like that guy.
candidates. So that's the reason why they all end up kissing his ass and they don't fucking rebel against him is because he controls the money.
Kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
I don't know
there's
if it.
nothing in the Constitution. Trump can say this stupid shit all fucking day about, oh, we need a new election.
Yeah,
You know
the
what? That
problem
last
is that
election was
stupid
fucked up.
people will believe that, right?
Well,
That's the issue.
I always I want to, whenever it comes to Trump, I want to know what was said and what was the context. Because the media takes the things that he says tremendously out of context. And it's amazing because a lot of the stuff that he says is already fucking stupid as shit. But then you're spinning it to discredit yourself when you could just report on the facts and just let the people decide how stupid it is. It's the reason why I'm not necessarily a big fan of Trump is his inability to purvey some sort of professionalism, some kind of decorum. Um, So
I don't know. We'll see what happens. See how it goes. But I'm pretty sure we're not going to get another election.
No, it'll never happen.
well, it can't
not a thing.
happen. There's no structure in place for that to happen. None. Zero.
I know, but
we're stuck
stupid
with this idiot.
people will think that it's a thing, and then it leads to violence or stupid acts, and that's a problem. That's the problem I have with this, is that there are stupid people out there. Not everybody's going to be rational enough to be like, you know what? That's just him trying to get me roused up. Yeah, I support him, but, you know, obviously we know the limits. You know, it's okay. There are people out there like, fuck yeah, we need a new country. We need a Trump country. You know, like they're fucking stupid. And
we might be getting to that point. We might be getting to that point within this country. Once you have a base, a populace that cannot fundamentally agree on very simple things. What is a woman? What is it okay to trans the kids, or gun rights?
Man, you're only worried
abortion, right? I mean,
sexual stuff, huh?
All guns.
Guns. All I give a fuck is about gender.
But if we can't come to an understanding, or at least a mutual understanding, or agreement,
do you like that things are expensive right now?
On inflation?
Do you like things expensive right now? That's the question. I
love it. You know, one of my favorite things is to spend way too much money on goods and services.
Do you enjoy the price of gas at the moment?
Dude, it's down 60 cents from the record high. So yeah,
they did it.
On board.
All right, thanks for doing that. But I mean, exactly. My point is, there are things for us all to come together on if we just sat there for 5 seconds and heard each other out.
We're
you guys want to, because everybody wants to push something that they know is going to bug the other side. You push gender on somebody on the left. You push abortion to somebody on the left, and then on the left they push, well, we got control of this, we got control of that. You don't have a fucking say. You know, that's the kind of shit that never gets anywhere. What we should be doing is looking at, what do we all not like together, and then let's go from there. Because that's a lot. It's always easier to figure out what you don't like together than it is what you do like, right? I don't like how expensive shit is. I just saw today at the golf club that I'm a member of, my burger went from $8 to $12. Like, dude, why? Same fucking burger, bro.
It's a same huge fucking increase, burger, right?
Yeah, and I got to pay $4 extra, and I get it lettuce wrapped. I don't even pay for the fucking bun, you assholes.
Here's my biggest issue with the Biden administration right now, and I don't understand why the Republican Party is so fucking bad that they've lost traction in the 2020 midterms.
Right.
Is that inflation is running rampant, and we have a president who is doing exactly the opposite of what he should be doing to address it. He passes a bill called the Inflation Reduction Act, which is actually just a clean energy bill. If clean energy is so fucking popular, call it a green energy bill, and then fucking pass that. Don't fucking lie to me about what it actually is. The title does not address the issue that we have within the country. And then we go and we erase fucking $400 to $1.2 trillion worth of student debt, which only benefits people who are very well off. It's bullshit.
That's not true, though. The numbers, there are people that are going to be okay.
Yes. And
so there are people that are okay.
Here's the issue. What was the cutoff?
I'm not going to let you make an argument that makes me wrong. What? Go ahead.
What was the cutoff on the income level for the
$125,000.
$125,000. What if you're married?
$250,000.
$250,000. So those are the people that need help.
No, and there was less than.
They're not.
It's less than 12% of the people that are going to have that.
Who are they?
88% of the people that are going to get the help are making less than $100,000. Actually, a lot of them.
Who are they?
Showed like 70% of them make less than fucking $60,000.
Who are they?
So you're doing a lot. They're poor people.
Who are they?
Are those the people? I'm telling you. People that make less. What the fuck are you saying? Who are they? Who are they? Who are they? Who are they? They're making less than $60,000 a year, and there's 70% of the people that are going to get benefited from this are actually going to benefit from this. People that actually accepted those Pell Grants because you were too fucking poor and you had no fucking support network and you were just trying to do better with your life, got into a predatory loan where only a third of it can get paid off by a Pell Grant, right? They're gonna get some help. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes,
be happy
I agree.
For somebody.
I agree.
I'm sorry that you
people
didn't choose that life, but be happy that some people that have been struggling for years are going to be okay. That's exactly how it works.
It's a payoff to the people that voted for him. His
100%. Thank you.
His voting base
How
is
about that?
people who vote for him, and that's not the way
Okay.
politics should be done. It's not the right
Sure.
way. Now,
What did Trump do?
would the majority of the American people have been in favor of giving debt forgiveness to people who make $30,000 a year? Absolutely, did. I think most people would have been like, all right, let's do that. And especially if those degrees,
Did you not look at the polling?
Especially if those degrees and those, yes, I listened. I followed the polling, and I also listened to NPR and New York
you
Times
saw that
on
the
both
polls
of these.
weren't just
So
based on income. They were actually saying, yeah, anybody that took these predatory loans on, they would be in support of some kind of forgiveness or correction to it.
Some kind of, not
Yeah,
this,
and this is
Rick,
some
not
kind of.
paying off
Nobody
the people
actually
that
got-
voted for this
aside
asshole.
from the people that had less than $10,000 in loans, which to me that's like a drop in the bucket for some of us.
Mhm.
So that's cool. But I mean,
Yeah.
there are people that could really use that help.
There
And
are
he
people, and those are
got
the
a
people we
large
should have
chunk of
addressed.
them,
And then what does
regardless
it
of how
do
you
to
feel
address
about it.
long-term issues? What we should have done was remove interest from government loans. 0% interest on any government loan that goes to a stem cell degree. Right off the bat,
Stem
dude,
cells. We can't do stem cell. That's against Jesus.
not a stem cell, but a STEM-based degree. I'm sorry. So something that actually benefits society in the long term, as opposed to some fucking bullshit degree. Let's actually
Okay.
start working towards that. And the 0% interest on those loans.
Right.
Why?
So they can't make
Why-
that choice, right?
Well, the issue is that education shouldn't be for sale like it is currently, and we're making it for a pro of. When the government took over a lot of these loans in 2010, they made it a money funneling event for the government. So they were just making a shit ton of money off this interest. And these interest amounts, they compile on these students to the point that it's very difficult for somebody who's not making $125,000 a year to pay it off. So those are the people that we should have been helping. And we also needed to reduce that interest down to zero, so then it addresses the problem at a root cause level.
So what do you
We
do
also
about
needed
the
to go
people?
towards the endowments that these schools have,
What
where they have
endowment?
billions of dollars. These schools
Okay.
have these.
You're
these
talking
huge
about
amounts
private
of money.
universities. You're talking about, and this is the same bullshit argument that I keep hearing. Like, why are we giving these lawyers free money? Well, because most of them aren't fucking lawyers. Most of them are just regular fucking Joes. Most of them got out of school and said, okay, I'm ready to hit the workforce. And they're like, great, nice degree. We're going to start you at entry level anyway. And you're not going to make enough money to be able to pay that loan. And you're right about the compounding interest, because it makes it to where it's unaffordable.
Yes,
right?
it does.
So that even by the time that they have worked to a point where they're making decent money, let's say it's $100,000,
Yeah.
$125,000 a year, it's so fucking far gone. They're stuck paying that for the rest of their life, and it's going to weigh on them on their credit. It denies them the opportunity to rent a house, right? Like there's that issue, right?
And get
You
rid
can't
of it.
fucking do anything with it. You're stuck with this debt.
Stuck with it.
So if
Yeah.
there's a little relief here,
But
and
here's
the next thing's going to be like,
Stop.
I'm paying for it. Show me how much you're paying for it. Show me when you're paying for it.
$1,900 on average per taxpayer.
Okay,
is
show
how much
me
we're
the
paying.
$1,900 coming out next year.
You
show it to
fucking
me.
idiot.
No, I'm the idiot. You're the one
the
that's saying
math.
that you can't fucking
Do the
back it
math.
up.
I
Back
just
up the
did. I
fucking-
gave you the
show me a piece of
statistic.
paper.
I
that
gave you
shows
the
you paid
number.
$2,000 to someone's fucking student loan.
You know what?
Show
That's
me
a
that
damn
piece of
good
paper.
point. You were making a damn good point.
I'm telling you.
I deserve a fucking receipt for the money that I am
Exactly.
paying
So
for
if you
you to
think
go to
you're
school.
paying it,
I
show me
deserve
that
a
you're
receipt.
paying for it.
Give me that fucking receipt. You're damn
I'm
right.
saying.
You're 100% right.
God
I'm in
damn it,
favor
I
with
think we
this.
came to an agreement. This
Yeah, we
shows
did. Is I need a
This is a
receipt
great
for the
podcast.
money that I'm giving to you.
So I'm saying tax time comes
Look,
around.
Rick,
Show me when you paid for it.
Band-aids don't address the issue, right? We need
I agree.
to
But we
address
can't get
the
past the
issue.
fact that you've
What's
got
going
too
to
many
happen?
people.
What's
Too
going to
many
happen?
politicians are not going to allow for any kind of dramatic change to any system that is fundamentally rooted in money now. And we've
So-
talked about that, because you can't get past immigration. You can't fix immigration. Why? Because there's somebody with someone in someone's pocket.
Yes.
That's how it
true.
goes, right?
Yeah.
You
Cheap
can't
labor.
fix this because there's somebody that Fannie Mae fucking owns.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
There's going to be
So
somebody
putting
that
a
fucking
band-aid on it,
like.
putting a band-aid on it and giving these people this extra money is only going to encourage
So we should do
more,
nothing at all.
which is going to encourage more banks to give out
Mhm.
more bad loans to more students, causing
How can you do that? Because
wait,
you
let me
missed
finish my
that.
point. We're
Okay.
going to have another tuition hike in the next couple of years. Mark my
Okay.
fucking words. 49 minutes into this podcast. Save that fucking clip, because we're going to have
Yeah, it has
another
nothing to do with
tuition
the
hike.
fucking inflation.
Yes, it does, because the money is now freed up.
Has
so then
nothing to
these
do with the
banks
fact
can
that it
reallocate
goes
that
up
money
every
back
2
into
years
the,
anyways.
tuition is going to skyrocket yet again, just like it did.
It
since
skyrockets every 2
2010.
years.
So it's going to happen at an exponentially
It's been doing that
greater
since
rate
the
now.
1960s.
Rick, and this only makes it worse.
This is going to make it worse.
But it doesn't help. This does not
All
help.
right, so you realize that part of this was that you can only pay back up to 5% of your income after expenditures. They didn't have that before. That's a huge thing, and that means
No,
that
and I agree with that.
lenders
I do
are
agree
going
with
to
that.
be
I like
very
that.
much like, I don't know if I want to give you that big of a chunk of money if you can only give me fucking no dollars a month because you're not making any money. You know what I mean?
Like that. I do like that, but here's an unintended consequence of that action is that mathematically there could be situations where you actually don't take on advanced positions within a company, because then that's going to affect the amount of money that you have to pay out in the government.
Potentially,
so
but that's a choice that person's going to have to make.
And that'd have to be, I'm sure some economic professor out there is working on this right now and how the long-term ramification on that's going to actually look. But on principle, I do like that. Yes, I like that. A limitation on how much they can pull from your income.
I don't really understand. That's a person's choice. If they're gonna make more money and they realize that their bill's gonna go up, it's the same thing as like people that retire nowadays, right? When you retire nowadays, you lose part of your pension, right? You lose part of your Social Security if you make a certain amount, right? So if you're working while you're still collecting on your retirement, they can say, okay, well, you're not going to get as much now because you're working, and that's going to offset the money. So they have to make that decision too, and it's their decision to make if they're going to do that. So, I don't see the problem with the same thing here. 5% of my income is 5% of my income.
It incentivizes people to make bad decisions at times, right? So you've seen it with things like welfare and the healthcare that is involved around that, where people will not take advancements in their life for short-term losses because they'll lose their healthcare for their children, or they'll lose some of their benefits, their SNAP card and things of that sort. That those benefits will reduce. So then if they actually get a promotion at work, they're actually losing money. They're losing healthcare. They're losing these fundamental things that they need for their children. And so they decide not to take that. Well, the problem with that is now you got to wait 10 years until your kids are older until you can take that promotion. Well, now you're 10 years behind on your progress track, where you would have been doubling or tripling your money from that original spot within that welfare program. Now you're 10 years behind and you have no shot of catching back up. So when you keep on putting up these promotions, and most of the wealth within America, at least within the middle class, is gradual. It's not like Elon Musk, where you sell a program and then you double that money and you're a millionaire. That's not how most wealth works in America. It is gradual over time, and we're taking that away in small little steps like this through government programs. And so it's always important to look at what the potential side effects of such a thing is, because if
would that side effect not also affect the loans themselves? The lending company is going to realize that same problem, right? Exactly what you're looking at,
and that
means they don't
right?
get their money. So I think that it will actually restrict and stop some of these predatory loans, because they're going to look at it and say, you know what? Before I could give a loan out to anybody and I was going to be they're on the hook with me for life.
I take it back. No,
they're going to take a big chunk. But now they're going to say, you know what? I can't do that because I'm only going to get so much. This guy will not take he's going to school to learn how to bake. Like, you know what I mean?
Those degrees do not need a fucking, we should not be funding those through government-backed loans.
But you get what I'm saying.
And I agree with you 100% on that. This guy is learning how to go and
fucking work on a car, like change oil, something like that, where it's like, okay, I get you. It's okay. Go get your vocational certificate. Go do whatever you're going to do. But at the same time, I'm not going to give you that big ass loan, because if I give you a loan for $100K, you're never going to pay that back.
I'm of the opposite mindset on the automotive guy. We should be encouraging that guy to go get a loan and go through trade school. We should encourage plumbers and air condition repairmen.
You can do that same thing, and
all those guys.
There's nothing wrong with the pâtissier either, though.
Just because
those
so you
guys, they make a fuck ton of money, and
they make a shit ton of money, and it's a damn good job.
So there's nothing wrong with being a baker either.
No,
I was trying to give you something that's just menial.
Yeah.
So let's say it's a menial job, janitorial. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're going to be just a janitor. You're going to learn how to vacuum, sweep, and clean schools.
A job where you're going to learn it on the job 100%, right?
Right. So we know they're not ever going to make that much money, no matter how they move up. We're not going to give them those loans. You know, like that's you're going to see more of that, where it's going to be the loans are going to tighten up. That's all I'm trying to get at.
According to Best Life, And yeah, another thing that we need to get rid of is probably electives in college. We need to streamline the entire educational process. Not every degree needs to be 4 fucking years. It's too rigid of a system. If you're going towards a degree, then we should have these X things lined up for you to do. And some degrees might take a year or two. Some degrees might take 8 years to get. We should
Yeah.
streamline it so then it makes fucking sense towards whatever you're going to college for, right? But let's look at some of the things that we help fund through these various loans. So at Cornell, according to Best Life, tree climbing is a course. Learning how to get dressed is a course at Princeton. Lady Gaga and the Sociology of Fame, University of South Carolina. South Park and Contemporary Social Issues, McDaniel College in Maryland, which is actually maybe out. I might sign up for that one.
I'm interested in it.
How to watch television, Montclair State University.
The fuck
I
who
could
takes
teach
these
West-
this
courses?
class.
Westworld, our
You
world,
could be a professor.
I could.
Bennington College, The Art of Walking, Center College in Danville, Kentucky, The Game of Thrones. Rick is actually going through this at the University of Virginia. Cryptozoology, Oberlin Experimental College. I guess that makes sense. They're experimental. The Physics of Star Trek, Santa Clara. Elfish, University of Wisconsin, Madison. Making Whoopi, Goldberg's Canon, coming out of Bates College. The History of Surfing, out of UC Santa Barbara. The American Vacation, University of Iowa. Dude, I can continue. These are wasteless fucking classes that people are taking out these loans because they have to take a fucking
I
elective.
thought you were going to keep going. I think you're just trying to get to an hour on the show, and I thought you were.
Well,
just
I
gonna
want to
keep
go back
reading
to making Whoopi. Is that like
Making-
teaching you how to have sex, or is that
No,
Whoopi
Making
that's
Goldberg?
Whoopi
Whoopi.
Goldberg. That's Whoopi Goldberg.
'Cause I would take that class.
The problem is that there's too many.
You would not
bullshit
learn
classes.
anything.
These classes are on the books just so then the school will make more money. That's it. We need to revamp the entire educational system from the ground up so then it actually makes sense to get people within the workforce. Now, there are fields of study like history that can take decades to learn and really master, and philosophy, things like that. And you can be a lifelong student if you want. And those things are important, but not everybody needs to go to school for 4 fucking years to get a degree in English. Like, it's ridiculous. Let's streamline education, reduce the amount of time kids are in school, so then the loans are less, and then
Well, okay,
reduce these
so
loans
you're
down to
saying that-
0%.
I know you don't love California at all, but this is actually something that they've done that's really good, and they have advanced that a lot. Is they're trying to. I know they're talking about like we'll pay for the 2 years in college, like they're working on that too. But they have given the opportunity for a lot of kids, a lot of low income kids from poor areas, whatever marginalized society they might be in. But they're giving them the opportunity, like my kid is actually in the program, right? Where
But
they're doing that now to be able to cover some of that tuition so that it's not
Yeah.
so harmful on the child growth
again,
for their
Rick,
future.
again, they're taking bullshit classes for the most part, and they're not taking classes directed towards
they're taking all their general ed. That's
Well,
what you
which
still
is
have to
good,
do your
which is
general
good.
education.
But let's get well, general education should be covered in fucking high school. High school is a waste of fucking time.
I mean, you got to look at it like I
It
think
is a
high school is a
waste
waste
of
of time,
time.
anyways.
So
but
why
there's
are we
also-
not general ed
Because
should
they
be
don't fucking
attacked
pay.
and
They don't have the
conquered in high
credentialed
school?
teachers there.
No, what
to
it
be able
was
to teach you calculus,
the-
to
the-
be able
the-
to teach you fucking
that's bullshit.
geometry.
The
You're
problem
not going
with
to get that.
the problem with high school today was no child left behind. We started pushing every kid through the educational system. What we needed to do was some of these kids aren't made for school. Some of these kids don't sit down and
They should
listen well
Get on
to
a
a book.
farm, manual labor, baby.
No, but find a field that interests them. Maybe trade schools, things of that sort. There's kids that can make out. They might not enjoy studying history and fucking reciting the year that the Constitution was written, but what they might enjoy is tinkering on an AC unit, and now they can make $120,000 when they get out of high school because they got that skill.
I don't know about that.
Let's actually start. Well, not directly after high school, but after a few
I don't know about
years
all that.
of getting some
I don't have a problem with.
experience and
Yeah, the kid's kind of a dunce. He's not going to be able to handle basic math. Let's get him on an
no.
apprentice.
Basic math. Everybody should have basic math, right? We need to maintain
So where's your
the
limits?
basic foundations, right?
Because high school teaches basic math.
Yeah, and basic math should be a thing, but all of high school is geared theoretically to steer you towards college. That's the purpose of high school and the educational system as a whole. We don't need that to be the sole path anymore. When we were kids, they started to phase out auto class. They phased out baking. They phased out all wood shop.
Still have this.
They're phasing them out. They're gone. They're gone for the most part. You have pockets here and there, but they're
All right,
for
so
the
all I know is in my area, anecdotally, all those things exist.
and they need to exist. They're very important because they actually give you a path towards something outside of just college, and a lot of kids need that. But I think we need to not leave every kid behind, and we needed to move kids based on what their ambitions and their levels are.
I think that's the young adult side, and that's why you hear me pushing all the time, like, hey man, nothing wrong with a vocational school.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Go
maybe starting in
together,
10th grade for that kind of stuff, right? 9th, 10th grade. They have
Well,
some studies and some
what they're doing now, though. I mean, like that's what California's doing now. Although you don't like, I mean, when they combine college classes with high school classes,
no, and I do like that.
That is it, because now you have that
really-
chance to be able to, like my daughter, she's going to have her AA and she's going to have her major
awesome.
figured out before she even gets out of high school, right?
Yeah. And
that gives them an opportunity to figure it out and get prepared for higher education.
And I agree with that path. It's gearing
Or
that kid up.
vocational.
It's getting that kid up. It's gearing that child up with the skills that they should have at the end of high school. And I think that should be a bare minimum for most kids that want to go to college, to exit high school with those.
Or vocational school. Because it's the same thing. You can actually take the vocational programs at the college during high school. So like there are these opportunities, right? And I think it should be the same thing. You don't necessarily have to look at a college or for you university or any of that bullshit. You want to go and get your certificate in 18 months and say, I know how to fucking work on every fucking car and I'm going to go make bank. Great. Or yeah, you said ACs, or I'm going to go figure out some plumbing. Dude, do that shit. Be an apprentice during high school so that by the time you come out, you're a journeyman, right?
Yeah.
Do that kind of. I agree with that. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have high school. We shouldn't have basic education.
Well, I'm not saying get rid of it. I never said get rid of it. I just don't think that
we still need
all
Gen Ed.
needs. And I agree with Gen Ed too, but I think that Gen Ed. I don't think high school kids are incapable of Gen Ed, especially even at a college level.
Why did I need to go through so much civics? Why didn't I have at least a semester where, and they talk about it all the time now, right? Wish they would have taught me how to fucking manage credit cards or manage a fucking checkbook or, like truly, because I remember they did in home ec teach you how to use a checkbook, but it's like those aren't real life skills. Like what happens when taxes come? Like,
I mean, imagine if at the beginning of the school year, they gave every kid a fake credit card, right? And then that fake credit card is how much money you have to spend on various goods that you're going to have to sustain throughout the entire year. And it will teach you how to balance this fake money, whatever system you would have. You would just create a system that they would have to buy into every day. So then they learn how to balance money from a very young age.
Skills. How hard is it to buy a car? What do you need to do? I was really appreciative that Sam's 8th grade teacher was doing that. She was teaching them like, this is what a car payment looks like. This is what a house payment looks like. This is what, percentage of your life it'll take. Like, it's crazy like that they don't learn that in most schools.
And these are the things I would like to see from our educational system and from Joe Biden and from whoever's in charge of our country at any given moment is actually addressing the root issues within our country. I think that we are the wealthiest country on this planet. Well, I know that. And I think potentially we could be the smartest and most intellectual country of all time if we just applied ourselves and we were more focused on these on
you sound
education.
like my grandmother. If you just applied yourself.
And
Thank you.
It's true. It's true though. Grandma was right. So this student loan forgiveness does none of that. It only inflates the problem.
I don't think it inflates the problem. I think it'll solve.
It pays out.
It'll solve problems for some people, which is good. And because it does help a majority of low-income folks, I think that's a good thing.
I don't think you would have had very much pushback on this bill if it would have directed at people of poverty.
I think that he should have probably. I agree with you. I think 125K is a little high.
It's a lot high. It's at least twice as high as it should be.
I really feel like just like the stimulus check. Maybe you dumped it down so it starts at 10K. The
stimulus check was stupid.
Well, I'm just saying it starts at 10K, and then like once you hit 80,000, it drops down to 8K. Once you hit 90,000, it drops down to 5K or something like that, where it's like, okay, that makes sense because
staggered a bit. staggered a bit, maybe.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that because I'm going to be real. Like, I'm one of those student loan folks that was poor and broke, got a Pell Grant. I'm going to be eligible for $20K, which is great because I am in a fucking world of hurt. Because when I got out, it was way more than I can afford, and it compounded on me so much that I was at a point where I just said, you know what, fuck it. I don't know what to do with my life. I can't even buy a house. I can't buy a car. I can't do anything because this has fucked me. And it took me so long to get out of that hole to where I could get steady on making my payments. And then a pandemic shows up. It's like, cool.
So with
now
that,
we're in I think the pause is actually worse than this. Just saying.
But the compound interest is what got you in the hole, right?
Yeah. The predatory loan itself.
So that goes back to my statement at the beginning. Let's stop making education for sale. I am all good
for
with
the millions of people
us
that are currently in debt.
Us now who have all this money, erase the interest on these cards. I agree. That's
kind of what he did, isn't it?
I am in favor of removing the interest on any of these loans. And I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck how much money you make.
Okay,
let's
so
remove
just
that interest.
Fair warning,
it should not.
That would be more than
sale.
$10,000 per person.
But it's better because college. So the problem with this system is once government mandated so much of this through our federal system or our treasury, is that we took over too much. We made it for a for-profit system. We made it so then we can make money for the government. And I don't agree that education should be a money-making path for us. We removed the interest. I am more than happy to put up money for people to go to college. Just remove the interest. And that addresses not just.
I mean, I would
today,
100% agree with you. If you remove the interest, my payment would actually be fucking manageable all my life. And that wouldn't have been an issue. But
help future generations.
Fannie
and
Mae, Sally Mae got away with it. Why do we have so many Fannie Mae's and Freddie Macs and Sally Mae? What the fuck? Who came up with these names? Fuck you all.
I don't know.
First of all, because they're the assholes that got us in this place, in this mess, and then they don't exist anymore. But I agree. If you remove the interest, it's just that removing the interest, that would legitimately be fucking a ton of money.
But we should have never had the interest. We should have never had the interest on these loans anyway.
You shouldn't have interest on a fucking student loan because you're trying to better yourself.
Unless it's coming from a private organization who should be making money off of that. When it comes to the government, we shouldn't be in the business of trying to make money off of you. Not for education. For education.
I don't know. There's just not enough protections out there. They're not going to fix them because somebody's in someone's pocket, and that's how it works.
And I agree.
It sucks.
I agree with that. I do.
I really, but I mean, something's better than nothing sometimes.
But this is a blatant payoff to his voter base, and it's kind of disgusting.
This is why I voted for him. Thanks. I appreciate it. I'll do it again too.
Thanks, Rick.
and you know what, Rick? I do need to see that receipt for that $1,900.
I want to see the fucking receipt. Show me the money.
100%. I expect
that it came out of your paycheck. I want to see it.
I expect it.
I expect to see something.
Send it to me. Where do you think the money's coming from, Rick?
Huh?
Where do you think this money comes from?
Josh.
Do you think all of the money's coming from Josh?
Well, for me.
I'm in mortgage. I'm in escrow.
No, you're not.
You're in mortgage, exactly. I assume that there's like a donor card you have to fill out when you're like, yeah, I'm ready for my $20,000, please. And they're like, sweet, who's the name of the donor or the bank? So I was just going to put Josh's name.
Maybe I'll get a tax write-off.
Exactly.
I wish we were actually doing something towards. I wish we were doing something towards education and not just a payoff for his base. That's what I wish.
I wish it too, but it's not going to happen for any of these fucking presidents. Maybe I will say this: DeSantis in education, aside from his weird social shit, he's got some good ideas there. He's done some things. I'm not against when it comes to straight education and not the. I don't want to hear the word gay here. Here's
the thing with a lot of these states, left and right, like what you're talking about in California with your high school age daughter going to a community college. Those are great ideas. Arizona's doing school choice, where you can take that $7,000 that you would usually have to be funneled into. That money would have to be funneled into a public school. Yep. Well, now you can pull that money out and maybe go into a charter school or a private school.
Doing that too.
You get to pick
the
where
problem
you go.
that we ran into there, and that's what that Supreme Court case was about, is that now people want to go to private Christian schools or whatever it is. And I don't have a problem with it either, as long as it meets educational standards, right? Like, we went to a private Christian school and it met California standards, federal standards. It was all on the up and up, and it was
Yeah.
actually a better curriculum than what I could get at a fucking public school. And I knew that. That's why we went there. It's not
I mean,
because we're Christian.
You're,
You know.
you're taught that evolution is a theory, but it is a theory, right? I mean, these things are all theories at the end of the day. So
yeah, it's okay, but that's what parents are there for. So you can come take them out of the school, and as you're walking away, like, remember that was just some bullshit.
no, it's
Let's
not bullshit though. It is
real shit.
It is a theory. It is a theory.
Yeah, okay. And the Earth is
and
6,000 years old. Like, come on.
That's not true.
But that's
either.
what they teach in those Christian schools, and I see it because we did it firsthand, and it's okay.
And maybe that's what they taught in that Christian school. But yeah, that's also a role of the parent is that to listen and communicate with their children
exactly.
and learn what
that's
they're
the conversation
being taught.
we have, and we say, hey,
then,
what makes more sense? And you know, it's good. But I don't have a problem with school choice. I don't have a problem with it all. Charters are cool. I get it. If that works for your kid, that's great. If it works for your kid, as long as they come out and I mean, it should just be in the standardized test scores. And I think that's the big issue with the charter schools is that you can't get the standardized testing the same way. So you don't know if they don't follow the same baseline, right? So like public education, private education as a whole, there's always some kind of baseline. So you can show, yes, they're staying there on the same level or above the standard, right? There's a standard.
There was actually a study.
Charters have a standard, but the way they do their standardized testing does not show the same baselines.
There's actually a study based around SAT scores, and the
which are a joke, by the way.
Well, actually, the SAT scores were a better parameter.
They're removing SAT scores. Did you know
of intelligence coming out of high school than they were out of college.
Well, they're removing the SAT scores as a whole because they're showing that it's one. It doesn't cater well to the different types of education that we have now. It's not modern, right? So it was built to a certain standard, and now with charter, with private, with the different things they're doing, like kids in fucking community college and high school, shit like that, they're getting a different type of education. It is going a little bit more modular, and I think that it's really hard to put them into a standard test like that and expect them to do really well. And a lot of people are seeing that too.
Well, the problem with testing like that is that the entire school system becomes gearing them towards just that test as opposed to
as opposed to learning,
as opposed to a well-rounded education. Yeah.
So I have no problems with them removing that the SAT requirement. That's cool with me. I know all the UCs and the Cal States and all that shit in California. They're looking past that now.
That's good.
So, grades still matter, but
I do wish that education should be one of those issues where Democrats and Republicans can sit down and actually probably conquer it in this country, but they refuse to.
It shouldn't be that hard.
It's not that hard.
It should not be that fucking hard. Like, how hard is it to say, you know what? This is a poor neighborhood over here. Yeah, they don't have the resources that you're seeing over in this neighborhood because of the taxes paid or whatever the hell the reason is where it's not getting enough public money. What can we do to take care of them as well as here? Well, you know what? This is where a charter school would do really well because this charter school can pull resources privately.
What you do is you reallocate that money. When it comes to the educational system, every kid in America should have an equal opportunity to a similar education.
I agree 100%. Oh, Josh is going to sleep.
So that money should be reallocated to...
I am not listening to this. Fuck the kids.
And what's even more messed up about that scenario that you're giving is that kid over in that high income bracket neighborhood, their parents can afford to send their kids to a private school, right? Or for a private tutor or a private teacher.
Yeah.
They don't even need the money in the public school. That money does need to be reallocated. And I know that's a form of socialism, and you know that whole it's fucking scary communism, fucking. But I'm of a liberal mindset on that. That money doesn't need to be allocated to different neighborhoods who have less resources financially.
You hear that, Josh?
What?
Send some of that well water this way.
I just drank it. Sorry.
God damn it.
So,
all right, we've gone over on this one.
This was fucking 30 minutes over. Thanks, Rick.
Thanks a lot, Duper. We yelled in this one. It was fun.
Yeah, you could have just fucking started off with "you're right," and it would have been a lot shorter.
No, you weren't right. You're still not right.
I am
should
right.
just let you two have the second half.
I know. Sorry, buddy.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to get your student debts down to zero, buddy. That's all I'm trying to do.
I'm gonna do it in 30 years. It'll be okay. By the time I die, they'll get paid off. That's my goal. That's the system that I worked in. But it's okay. All right, I'm out of here. Anything else?
Bye.